What is going on, Florida State family? Hold on. My camera's off. Seminole Nation in the 863 tribe. It's your boy POLK, a.k.a. a.k.a. the goddamn truth. As you can see, it's a rare afternoon session for me. But guess what? I'm on holiday leave all the way until January. So I'm Gucci. I don't got to work. You know what that means? That means I'm chilling. That also means we might get might get a few more live streams, as I ain't got no job. I ain't got nothing to do. The kids are in school. Beautiful life right now. Beautiful life. Everybody come on in here, hit that like button, subscribe, and share. You are on the most interactive show for the YouTube Florida State football fan. You're on 863 Seminole TV. And again, it's your boy Alo, a.k.a. the goddamn truth. And some as the days go by, man, the news keeps dropping. Very interesting news hit today in terms of the Florida State Seminoles and its head football coach. I want to dive into that. Does that mean anything? Is that I don't know. FSU has a new linebacker as of, I wanted to say it happened last night, right? Or yesterday. FSU has a new, I think like a recruiting coordinator. I don't know his exact title. I think it has something to do with recruiting. They have a bunch of individuals visiting this weekend. We got our eyes set on some big targets when it comes to this transfer portal. And then this transfer portal strategy, which I think the Florida State staff is learning the hard way that the strategy they thought that they could employ maybe in previous years, maybe when it was a little bit different, is 100% not working so far this year. We'll talk about that. So get in here. Again, hit that like, subscribe, and share. And I don't know how long I'm going to go, but like I said, I ain't got nothing to do. So let's get it started. So first up, what's the first thing I should talk about? So the first thing that we will address today, you know what? We'll start in order. I want to start with Hunter. I think we get when I say Hunter, I don't mean Heisman Trophy winner Hunter, as in Travis Hunter. Shout out to Travis Hunter. You won the Heisman. And frankly, I think it was deserved. I'm talking about UCF transfer defensive tackle Lee Hunter, who FSU did recruit out of high school, plans to enter the portal. We're talking about an individual here who you want to say anchor down that three-man front. Your zero technique guy, he fits the bill where I don't think FSU has. I mean, they have some guys. They've got Denaz Weiss. Problem with Denaz White is I don't know what he is. Wasn't exactly a high-rated recruit. Has the body type. How long before he develops, we will find out. Then, of course, you got Kevin Wynn, true freshman, top-tier prospect, but a true freshman nonetheless. They got to wait till you get him on campus to see just exactly what you're getting out of him. Lee Hunter, however, is a guy that gives a Denaz White more time of development if needed, which I think he probably will. He gives Kevin Wynn more time. I think Wynn is going to play immediately anyway. But if you got a Lee Hunter, Wynn isn't playing a ton of snaps. You now rotate, keeping guys fresh. You talk about 6'4", 320 pounds of Lee Hunter here. And in my opinion, has to be a priority for the Noles. Has to be a priority. I know he did a slight visit with nothing official. They say he just stopped by on his way home to Alabama. Did a slight visit with Florida State, and I guess met Mike Norvell and staff and all of that. Probably went and hollered at Gus, his old head football coach. I gotta hope that relationship with Gus can bring him home, so to speak, because I think, and I was talking about this on Twitter, FSU's not going to have maybe the major portal haul that I think that we thought. I think part of that is just the fact that you went 2-10. I think the other part of that is their recruiting strategy is a little bit off. And I spoke about this, I feel like a month or so ago. Don't remember the exact time I spoke about this. It used to be follow the visits. And it used to be the last visit was the visit that mattered, because that was the last voice in a recruit's ear. And that was the visit that you kind of followed. Whoever got that last visit was the team. The problem is that NIL has shaped everything to its core. Not only is the last visit not important, the last visit isn't happening anymore, folks. What's happening is these players are getting on these campuses, and these teams are not letting them leave. They're throwing a number out there that these young men aren't going to turn down, and their families aren't going to turn down. FSU has seen to some degree, if you look at maybe some of the quote-unquote whiffs, which I don't personally believe FSU has missed on anybody of major significance, in my personal opinion. I always expected to get James Williams. So if you can add a Lee Hunter to him, I think you're cooking on defense personally. You also got a linebacker on campus today, the son of Bowles. What's his name? Not Ty Bowles. I don't remember the linebacker's name. I didn't pay that much attention to it. But he is on campus for whatever. He's a redshirt freshman. So that means you get plenty of – he doesn't have a ton of production, but what he does have is a ton of room to grow, right? If you're going to take – depending on where you're taking guys, they either need to have a ton of production or a ton of potential. You're taking younger players. We're talking sophomores and below. I'm okay with taking them off of potential. If we're taking juniors or above, then they need to have shown proof of concept, as one would say. So Trey Bowles, and his dad is Todd Bowles. Here you go. But yeah, so I never kind of expected a massive influx of guys in the portal. I knew that they were going to have, a decent number of guys leave. But it's going to be, Mike Norvell's going to have to win with the guys that he's recruited. That's just – they'll be able to plug and play. Again, you get James Williams, he probably takes whatever snaps Marvin Jones was going to have. I guess, that's probably a good trade-off there. I have a sneaky feeling that Patrick Payton, who's been very quiet up until this point, I don't think he goes anywhere, folks. I think they're talking with Pat. I think they think if we compare him with James, Pat's had major success when he's paired with a superior player. I think Pat comes back. Now, some guys might not like that. Me personally, I'm all for it. Obviously, you're coming back at a discounted rate, but I have feeling he comes back. He hasn't hit the portal yet. I'm not expecting him to hit the portal. But this is just the first wave. We also know spring and summer come along, and those transfer portal stuff could always open back up. But for right now, I think Patrick Payton probably plays opposite of James. And then your 3 down linemen. If you get Lee Hunter, that's massive, literally and figuratively. And then you kind of got to figure out your 2 ends. You got the JUCO guy at one spot potentially. I think Daniel Lyons would fit very well at one of those 2 ends as a guy who is around that, not quite 300 pounds, more like 290, 285, 290s, and 295. I think Daniel Lyons fits that role. And then again, is it the JUCO guy? Is it maybe a smaller guy? I'm personally very, very much interested to see what they do with D.D. Holmes. I think from a body type standpoint, he for sure fits what you want. What do they do with them? FSU has some pieces, and I don't expect them to add a ton of pieces. Lee Hunter and James, I expect to be the major pieces. They may or may not add a DB. There's been some rumors. There's been some stuff about Kendarius Jones maybe wanting to be back in Mississippi and may enter his name in the portal. I got to think FSU tries to keep him. It's the transfer portal. I said it before. I don't think that there's not a name that could hit the transfer portal that would shock me. There's names that disappoint me, but genuine shock I don't even think exists anymore. So Q is kind of the name that's being circled out as far as the secondary guys, which means FSU might look to be adding a guy, and we'll see how that plays out. Offensively is very interesting, but we'll get to that in a second. I want to get to the comments. I see a lot of people talking. What do you guys think about? Again, Lee Hunter's the big one. He was on campus yesterday. He's supposed to be back. You know what? That just reminds me. Let's get into that point, and then we'll get to the comments. So the big issue that Florida State, again, is finding out is the visits matter. And you can no longer play the long game. You can't allow, and I think that is me personally, this is my personal opinion on this one. Air Nolan just hit the transfer portal, by the way, as reported by On3 Sports. QB Air Nolan has entered into the transfer portal. See, this was my problem with taking Castellanos as early as we did, guys. I know he's got production and everybody loves, Castellanos got production. Air Nolan has no production. Okay, that is fair. But if you don't know, there's that Penn State quarterback who I think, there's some guys emerging in the portal at QB that I think could have fit Gus. I don't want to rehash that, but that was my problem. But Air Nolan has just hit the transfer portal. Back to what I was saying. I think one of the reasons Lee Hunter showed up yesterday, he claims he'll be back later this week, but that's after I think a Texas Tech. I think Texas Tech, Texas, and USC are getting Lee Hunter on campus before Florida State. That's scary, my friends. There's a chance he doesn't leave. And one out of those 3 campuses, there's a chance he doesn't make it back to Tallahassee. I would almost guarantee you he doesn't. And that has been, I think, the problem with Florida State's recruiting strategy in the portal this offseason. I'm getting a spam call. I'm not going to – usually I would answer it and mess with them, but I'm not going to do it. Lee Hunter, again, that has to be a priority, but if you're allowing him to take these other visits, as much as I want him, I gotta be honest that I don't believe it is likely. I don't believe the odds are in your favor if you're telling me that he's gonna take a trip to Austin, Lubbock, which I don't know what's in Lubbock, but I know that they have been I know they have been spending a bunch of money in the transfer portal this offseason. Texas Tech. Or is it A&M? I think, yeah. So I think it's Texas Tech. But anyways, I think Texas Tech is the team. But tell me he's going to go to Austin Tech and then Los Angeles, Southern California. Like, good luck. Good luck. And that has been what apparently has been the issue with because if you don't know, Butler, the guy that FSU was targeting, I think Jamari Butler is his name. He was one of those Nebraska defensive ends that hit the portal. And he hit the portal right around the time that FSU announced the new DC. And everything kind of seemed to like align, right? Everything seemed like, okay, that's a move. And Jamari Butler, and he commits to LSU, and he actually had multiple visits lined up for Florida State scheduled, and it didn't materialize. Now, I'm not quite worried about Jamari Butler. I think that's a good, solid rotation piece. Don't get me wrong, but I don't look at that as you can look at it as a whiff because of the expectation. I don't look at it as of a major, like, oh my God, you really needed this guy. So, but again, the issue is with the way they're setting up these visits. This guy goes, like to LSU and doesn't leave the campus. LSU doesn't let this man leave the campus. Like, after this man had scheduled, again, multiple day visit in Tallahassee, you don't even get him here. That is the type of stuff that when I talk about Mike Norvell, I talk about why it's so hard for me to believe that this can get turned around. Like, I don't know why this type of stuff has to happen. This is my personal opinion. I don't know why this type of stuff has to happen. And again, I'm not even saying Butler's a major loss. I'm just saying, remember how we said National Signing Day was such a great finish because of the optics of it? And they did get some quality players, but a lot of it had to do with the optics. You closed strong. Everything looked good. Right? I think missing out on Butler looks bad because of the optics and how it was sort of laid out for you. And again, this isn't a guy that I'm sitting here telling you FSU desperately needed this dude. I don't believe so. I think you'll be fine. I think, again, Pat, D.D. Holmes, I think you got guys. But my problem is why does this staff continue not to have the foresight to see things? Like, why are we the ones that are why is this staff the ones that's setting up all these major visits for the last week? But again, you rush to the guy like Castellanos. So as much as I want to believe in Mike Norvell, we do a lot of things that I feel like other staffs around the country aren't doing. And, who does that fall on? Does that fall on Mike Norvell? Well, in my opinion, everything that happens in that program falls on Mike Norvell because I believe that's the way it works. Maybe, just maybe, after FSU has hired, and we'll get into this one, it's new. I don't know what's his official title. But he was working at Colorado. And now he is back home in Tallahassee. Devin Respress has moved on from Colorado, working with Dion, and has came back to Florida State in some type of recruiting capacity. I'm trying to find his excuse me. I'm trying to find his actual title. I'm pretty sure somebody in the comments knows it. I can't necessarily find it, what his actual title is. Like, I don't know if he's the head of all recruiting or what that is. But the point is this a guy that is going to be able to maybe maybe lead these recruiting arrangements in a more, I don't know if sustainable is the word, but a more, proactive direction. I think that's the correct word I would use there. Proactive direction. So let's shout out Coach Express, because again, I'm not sure what he's actually gonna do. I don't think he's an on-field guy, but and it's not like Colorado recruited. It's not like Colorado recruited insanely well. What they did do, however, and I think even if you don't like Dion for whatever reason, and even if you don't like Colorado, you do have to admit that while they didn't recruit a ton of numbers, the guys they recruited, the evals were pretty spot on. They were contributors, and not just contributors, like they made big time plays for Colorado. So that might be a positive way to look at it. Let's get to some comments. I've been talking for about 30 minutes now, so let's get to some comments. Lee Hunter wants some money. Yeah, they all do. So I hear him. Pat can come back if the price is right. Well, Pat, I believe, is going to come back. I don't know what the price is, but Pat's going to be back, I think. Again, very quiet from Pat, so I think he'll be back. All y'all the favorites for Deuce Robinson. I know we signed Miller Moss. He was rumored to bring a couple guys with him. Was hoping. I don't know if we're the favorite. I'd be lying to you. From my understanding, FSU and Deuce are in communication. Obviously, his dad played here. That has not seemed to matter for Florida State over the years. And legacy players don't seem to work out whenever they come to Florida State for whatever reason, too. So that's crazy. The FSU beat writers tend to believe that FSU has a decent opportunity here. So we'll see what happens. I would love it. I would love it. And again, I'm not a guy who thinks offensively. I'm not a guy that thinks overall they're going to make a bunch of moves in the portal. They'll get guys in, but I don't know if there's going to be any groundbreaking impact guys. But again, if you can get James, if you can get Lee Hunter, and then offensively, if you can get me Deuce Robinson, I don't think you need to take another receiver. I've been pretty much, even with Dustin Hill leaving, you got a stable of young guys that I really think you got to play. You got to see what's in the wheelhouse with them. Ultimately, I think FSU might not have no choice but to ride with the guys they have on the roster, as I've said before. So, but if you can get a guy like Deuce, who hasn't been majorly productive, but he has. I mean, you look at the guys that they've recruited and that they're currently bringing in. What is Deuce Robinson, like 6'6", 230 or something like that? Someone correct me if I'm wrong. Like he complete that. There it is, right? He's like the guy from Arizona State that you got in. If that's the picture, hey, you gotta really, use some of that Florida State love that him and his father should have, and get this kid home. Even though we got Castellanos throwing him the football, but that's neither here nor there. That's neither here nor there. We'll continue. Apparently, we're getting a linebacker from Colorado. I saw him hit the portal. I don't know if we're getting him. I don't know where that's coming from. Penn State QB already back at Penn State. Not Drew Aller. I'm not talking about their starter, my friend. Their backup hit the transfer portal last night. But anyway, I'm not sold on our QB choice. You and me both. I say take 2 Bs. I'm not against it at this point. No reason not to, as far as I'm concerned, James. Chroma Hope's gone. I don't know. I don't even know what Brock Glenn's sticking around for. Maybe there's not a market out there for Brock. I don't know. Maybe Brock really wants to be here. That's also another possibility. If I were Brock, I probably wouldn't stick around, because I don't know if he, if he fits what we have going on here. But I'm not against taking 2 QBs. If he doesn't commit by Thursday, we got him. Well, We'll see. Yes, they are. Again, they're spending a lot of money out there, so that's what I'm saying. You don't want this guy taking. You don't want this guy taking that visit over there to Lubbock, Texas. Hell, you don't want him going to Austin. You don't want him going nowhere other than Tallahassee. But the FSU strategy has been perplexing, to say the least. Credible detailing with the 999. Says, what up, Pope? It's Chris in Orlando on the check-in. As always, my man Chris with the check-in. I appreciate you, my boy. Again, if you're in Central Florida, check him out. Because why the hell not?
I get it. I get it. Yeah.
Y'all telling me, dude, he's 6'6", 250 at receiver? He's not that big. Let me look up. Now you got me lying, Anthony. But I'm going to look it up. There's no, I won't say there's no way. I won't say there's no way, but I don't think he's 250. Hell, if he's 250, let's line him up across James Williams. Shit. You know what I'm saying? So let me see. Let me see what we got. He's listed at 220 coming out of high school. Trying to find. Let's see what USC officially listed him as. Number 2, Deuce Robinson. They have him listed at 220 as well. So I don't know. I don't know if he's 250. I think we're a little bit off there. I might have exaggerated weight. Yeah, I think you exaggerated just a little bit. But he's either way. I mean, you're talking about a big wide receiver. So again, that's a guy that you got to spin the block on, in my opinion. So that's kind of what FSU has, and obviously they have a bunch of O linemen. I do think FSU will finish fairly decent on the O line. They have to. Speaking of O-line, Julian Armella, we know, hit the portal and landed at UCLA. Interesting landing spot for him. I wish Armella nothing but the best. As a matter of fact, I pray to God Armella goes out to California, to Los Angeles, and makes All-American. Like, that's what I want for him. Because the fact that we couldn't get that guy on the field at all, the fact that Armella wasn't even in the transfer portal that long, like you look at some of these guys that from Florida State that have hit the portal, they're not exactly getting scooped up here. Armella hit the portal and he was taken fairly quickly. Like, I don't think Marvin Jones Jr. has gone anywhere. I mean, a lot of these guys that Florida State that has hit the portal, they're still in the portal looking kind of probably sad in the face because, you know, you had Omar Graham, he came back for whatever reason. I'm trying to think of a player that at Florida State that has hit the portal that has, like, I mean, Croman Hoke is going to, like, you left Florida State to go to Mississippi State. Like, congratulations to you. I guess that's a better fit. If he ends up there, we'll see. But not a lot of guys who have hit the portal so far are getting massive interest from other programs. So me personally, Armella getting picked up that soon tells me something. And the fact, again, that guy couldn't see the field here, I think Atkins probably deserved to be fired over that alone. Over that alone, Atkins probably deserved to be canned. The fact that, again, we were playing Jeremiah Byers as long as we were playing. Anyway, we're not going to get into that. But there's some old linemen on campus right now that I think FSU can finalize on, and you revamp your O-line. You got Buddy at quarterback again, who I'm not necessarily high on, but hell, doesn't matter if I'm high on him or not. He's going to be the quarterback next year. So here we are, and maybe a guy who's, undersized at like 5'9", get him a Deuce Robinson, get him some big targets that he can see, that he can kind of just throw it up to and let him go get it. I believe, and obviously we're going to run the ball more. That may be the plan for this offense. I want Deuce Robinson. I'm going to be honest with y'all, and then we'll move on. I have a hard time thinking FSU gets any legit wide receiver options out of the portal. And I think that has to do with the guy that you decided to make your quarterback, if I'm being bluntly honest. I don't think if I'm a wide receiver, I want to put my future in the hands of Castellanos. I don't think guys are lining up to get the ball thrown to by him, if I'm being straightforward with that. So if you can't tell, if you don't know by now, I did not like that take. I still don't like that take for a multitude of reasons. Not only on field play, but again, I don't think guys are clamoring to play with this dude. If FSU doesn't take him, I think this dude is still in the transfer portal. There wasn't a massive surge to get this guy. That's why I still don't understand why we took him so early. So it is what it is. It is what it is. If you're excited for it, if you think that he can be successful, then you have all the right and to feel that way. And again, he has the opportunity to prove me wrong. But I don't think wide receivers are lining up to play for him, which I think is kind of obvious when you look at the portal. And a lot of the guys that they said we were high targets for have committed elsewhere, almost all of them, from the Kentucky receiver to I think it was the Miami of Ohio receiver. All the major targets at FSU was scouting in the transfer portal at receiver have gone elsewhere. So that kind of tells me that, it tells me what it is. So anyway, let's go to the comments. Didn't think I could say worse than bad take. I think Armella's body type should work for someone. Well, we'll see. We will see. I still think Atkins was playing favorites on who plays on that O-line. He was doing something, bro. He was doing something. They're going to be really pissed off if Armella has a 70 PFF grade in 2025. I don't know how he's going to play, but I'm rooting for him personally. What do you think about the Marshall team? Did you see what happened? What do I think about the Marshall team? No, I didn't see what happened. I'm not aware. I can Google it real quick. Talk about like the Marshall Thundering Herd. Marshall Thundering Herd. What happened? I'm going to look it up. There should be some news. Marshall withdraws from the. Are we talking about Marshall withdrawing from the Independence Bowl against Army? Marshall has withdrawn from the Independence Bowl after the coaching change resulted in much of its roster jumping through the portal. Thundering Herd was okay. I actually did hear about this. I didn't know this is what you're referring to, but I actually did hear about how, yes, and I think a 5-7 team got the nod to replace them, if I'm not mistaken. But Marshall essentially lost, according to them, most of their roster from the portal. I think they kind of saw what happened to Florida State last year. They don't want to go out there and lose by a ridiculous margin. Again, I understand why FSU didn't, because, I mean, this is the Independence Bowl. FSU was in the Orange Bowl. The checks are different. So I understand you're Florida State. You got a lot of money tied up. You're going to take any basically free money you can get. They should have withdrew from the Orange Bowl. The bigger problem, obviously, is the timing of the portal. The bigger problem is the way they've allowed the portal to go on. I've said it for a while now. If I could control it, you'd have one free transfer. After that, we go back to normal transfer rules. I'm okay with one free transfer. I'm okay, and you could use that whenever you want. But I'm okay with one free transfer. I'm also okay. You have other free transfers pending coaching changes. So you have one free transfer regardless of what happens. If a position coach or a head coach is to take a job elsewhere, I'm okay with the player then having another option to leave. I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with hitting the portal every year, which is what you're seeing in college football. Like, literally, players are in the portal every single year. I'm not okay with that, because how can coaches, and I'm not one to make excuses for guys that make a ton of money, but at the end of the day, these guys still have a job to do. How can they manage a roster when that roster is, like, even in the NFL, there's a reason why there's multi-year contracts, so you don't have to go through this every year. College football is the Wild Wild West. Everybody at the end of every year is essentially a free agent. Now, whether they choose to exercise that free agency or not is up to them. But at this point in college football, you're literally having free agency for every single player every single year. And you see it affect a team like Marshall, that to the point that they feel like they can't not compete in this bowl game, and they therefore have to withdraw. That one free transfer rule solves all of that. I think NCAA has to revamp the transfer rule. It has to. You cannot just allow, in my opinion, guys to transfer every single year. So, good point of conversation there. Dupree says, y'all be acting like Castellanos is just trash, which isn't true. Well, I watched. Again, you can look at the numbers, and then you can look at what you watch, and I understand that he didn't fit with what they had going on at Boston College this year. I also understand what I watched the previous year with him at Boston College. Like, the only time, in my opinion, from what I watched, where the dude looked like a big-time quarterback was against our sorry asses. So, and that includes last year, not this previous year, but the year before, when we were a 13-0 team. He still killed us. So just because he can tear a Adam Fuller defense up to shreds doesn't exactly give me warm and fuzzies, if I'm just being honest with you. Like, if you like the take, okay, you like the take. Don't get mad at us because we don't like the take. That's all I'm saying. I'm not mad at you if you like it. I'm just telling you what I watched. And the numbers on face value might say, oh, he was decent, 18-5. The man had a QBR of 38.3, which ranked 111th in the country. Not an efficient player to me. Not a guy that I'm like, okay, he can move and run. Not sure he's a guy that elevates the team. I mean, you're talking about a guy. I mean, I'm sorry. Like, if you like the take, man, you like the take. But it's not a guy that I'm going, okay, this is a guy that I think is coming in here to. Not a guy, in my opinion, that Mike Savell should be putting his future on. I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that. And that's okay. Like Jakeem likes it. He's pretty good. He brings what we need at the QB position. I disagree that he brings what we need, but I understand why people say that because O-line hasn't been good, and people feel like, well, we need a guy who can get out there, extend plays, and move around. 100% get it. 100% get it. No offense. Thomas C is a good pickup. You can teach a player how to throw the ball, but you can't teach him how to run like him. His running ability will give an aspect the D will have to account for. Sure. It sure will. I'm not sure he's Jordan Travis. I'm also not sure you can compare the two when Jordan Travis was in the same system for 3-4 years before we got to Jordan Travis. And if you remember, the Jordan Travis that we had wasn't Jordan Travis, obviously, that we ended up with. This is your one and done guy. I understand Gus Malzahn recruited him, so yeah. He had BC ranked. Cool. Joe Milton had Alabama ranked. He ain't shit. Like, okay, you had him ranked. That's amazing. TC is like, well, I'm glad I just said that because Milroe is not a good quarterback either. But again, I get it. If you like it, you like it. If you think that the splash plays, if that intrigues you, if that catches your attention, again, man, don't get mad at me because I don't fool with it because I don't see it. I'm looking at the quarterback position. And when I look at the quarterback position, I'm looking for elevation, not elevation of the whole team. I'm looking for a guy that elevates every player on that team. I'm looking for a guy who plays efficiently and intelligently. And what we're getting is a guy who's going to scramble around a lot and try to throw passes off the back foot. Like that. That's what we're going to get. Can Gus reel that in and we can focus it in a certain – I mean, now that remains to be seen. Again, I don't trust a Mike Norvell QB evaluation for the last 5 years, and Gus hasn't had a good one in the last decade. So if you like the take, you like the take. A bunch of evidence points otherwise. I'm cautious about the addition. I can't believe we're actually comparing this man to Jordan Travis, though. But y'all boys got it. Y'all boys got it. The way comparing him to Jordan Travis. I'm cautious about the addition to both Mike and Gus had. Questionable Porter QB picks last season. Problem we're running into is we're coming off 2-10, so a lot of kids want. I know I've addressed that already. You are coming off a 2-10 season for sure. You are. So that is a reality. His production was with Boston College players. I believe FSU has running backs and potentially better receivers. We just need a better O-line. Well, Michael, we'll see. This is getting – I'm going to be honest with y'all, and I get it, right? Y'all are Florida State fans, so this is what we tend to do. But a lot of y'all are telling the same lies y'all was telling about DJU last year. So just keep that into consideration. Well, last year he was, 15 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, and, yeah, they won 7 games. I don't even know how many games they won this year. They weren't great, though. And then he got injured. Apparently he gets injured. Boston College continues to want him to play, and that's why they say he so-called quit on his team. This year he won 7 games. Well, they won 7 games again. I'm just looking at his numbers. I mean, since this is such a highly controversial topic to say that. I mean, even if you look at his numbers this year, everybody's talking about him running. again, because of what he does to Adam Fuller's defenses. Look at his numbers this year on the ground. He only had 194 yards. He only averaged 2.1 yards a run and a long of 18 and 1 touchdown. So he wasn't exactly whatever. It is what it is. Dupree Hundo, hell no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't take Moreau either. I understand. I guess I'm just gonna have to understand again that it's Gus Malzahn's offense, and to a degree, sure, I would take Milroe in this offense because of the dynamic that Milroe's legs definitely bring him. Milroe's a legit runner. Milroe's not 5'9", like he's a legit runner. But in a perfect world, no, I wouldn't take Milroe either. But I much rather have Milroe than him in this offense. If that was the case, no fan, wouldn't he be a lot more successful if that was the case? DJU was pretty good at Oregon State. He was decent, so I can see why we wanted him. He was decent. So again, I'm seeing a lot of the same delusion. But hey, we'll see. I may be ultimately proved wrong about this young man, and he may come to Florida State, throw for 3,000 yards and run for 1,000 yards and be in the Heisman conversation and just be that guy. Because again, his good year. You look at his good year. He ran for 1,000 yards, 13 touchdowns, threw for 2,200 yards and 15 touchdowns. He also threw 14 interceptions. But so that's his good year. That's last year. That's his good year. Again, this year, he only ran for 194 yards, 1 touchdown. Again, that might be attributed to injury. He did his interception to touchdown ratio greatly improved. The sack numbers really didn't improve. And the completion percentage improved this year. So, yeah, man. Again, that's what we got. At the end of the day, man, that's what we got. I'm just giving you my opinion on that's what we got. And people can ask me, well, who in the transfer portal would you want to take? You know what? It doesn't even matter who in the transfer portal I want to take, because whoever I say, y'all ain't gonna like. So it is what it is. I just know Auburn went out there and got Jackson Arnold, who did beat Alabama and ran for 160-something yards against them and all that good stuff. Again, Aaron Nolan just hit the transfer portal. We probably could have waited. You're going to tell me Aaron Nolan, well, he doesn't have any production. So no matter who I tell you, that's probably just going to be what it is. KCS with the $9.99 says, appreciate you bringing the show, Polk. You're killing me with these times you go live. Too late for me to stay awake too early. Hey, it's all good. Sometimes I get bored. Today was one of those days. I just had to jump on here and chop it up for a little bit. So today we're just talking about a little bit of everything that's going on. I don't know how we got on the TC conversation for so long, but here we are. But we talked about Lee Hunter. We talked about – what did we talk about? We talked about a new recruiting assistant, I guess, from Colorado staff has came on over. FSU's got a bunch of guys visiting. We talked about kind of the lackluster recruiting strategy that they've had so far and how that's working out. So we've talked about kind of a little bit of everything at this point. KCS, appreciate you for kicking in on your lunch break. If that's exactly what you're doing, don't watch me on the clock, man. I don't want you losing your job because of me. Cause I can't support you. I can give you $9.99 back, but I can't support you. But appreciate you, man, for coming out here.
Take a deep drink, the money goes in.
TC might turn out to be like Kyler Murray. Sure. I believe the problem with both TC and Milroe is they can't read defense and coverage. I would have preferred Jackson Arnold myself. POLK also I don't understand that Coach Malzahn was at UCF. Why did TC not start? Why he left and went to Boston College? Now Coach comes here and he went. Great question. He did commit to UCF, played there a year, left to Boston College. I don't know what the dynamics were there, but here we are. That's a great question, actually. Why didn't he stick it out with UCF? And instead of them going to get the Arkansas quarterback, who was a disaster, again, another Gus Malzahn, whatever, maybe he could have stayed at UCF and actually been successful. Maybe my tune would change if that was the case, but it wasn't the case. And now he's transferring for his second time. Man, we'll see how that plays out. Gus got Nick Marshall, too. Look like a gamer. So I believe that was a decade ago, Jakeem. Like, that's what we're banking on? A decade ago. Okay. Gus also had Cam Newton. So if we're going to bank on stuff from a decade ago, let's do it. Let's do it. I'm all in for it. Let's do it. Brendan Bogner, new QB coach. What are you talking about? Is that a guy that you want as the quarterback coach? Brandon Bogner. Mike should donate the rest of his. Let's talk about that. So Mike Norvell. Let's talk about that, Tyler. So today it was reported that Mike Norvell has, so I saw different reports. Some say donate. Some say it was like actually reconstructed. I think 247 reported that he's donating. I've seen other reports that it's not a donation, it's a reconstructing of like the contract. Again, I don't know. But $4.5 million to the Seminole Boosters. Now, what does that even mean? Where does that money go? Is that money going straight to the NIL? Is that money going to something else? What would make him do such a thing? I'm glad they got him to do it, don't get me wrong. But I'd be very very interesting what that conversation was. And then what does that mean? What does that 4.5 mean in the grand scheme of things when it comes to Mike Norvell and that potential contract? Does that make the buyout a little easier? Is Mike Norvell feeling some heat? Is that just a genuine, like, hey, I need more players, I'm going to pay for them type of deal? Maybe it is. What's y'all's thought on that 4.5? Like, where's it going? Was it something that was forced? I don't know. That's kind of the big thing that came out today. So, matter of fact, let me bring it up. Let's see what exactly. I don't know if that's a paid article or not. I'm gonna click on it. It probably is a paid article, and I don't pay for any of this crap. But as per 247, Mike Norvell is giving $4.5 million to Florida State to launch an athletic department vision of excellence campaign. The Tallahassee Democrat first reported the news, and 247 was able to confirm the report. The donation will go to some of the boosters. FSU confirmed that it's part of an altered contract for Norvell, which was re-signed this past offseason to give him $10 million annually. I presented this to our administration in an effort to boost the support of our student athletes while recognizing that results and expectations need to be upheld at the highest level, Norvell said in a release. I wanted to be proactive in my financial assistance, though this through this time of transition, as well as a push forward to get back to the standard of Florida State football. Great days are ahead, and I'm grateful to coach these players, lead this staff. We have been hard at work to uphold the tradition here at Florida State. And I believe this. Okay, I'm not going to read all of this. I do want to. This, what did Alfred say? Alfred said, "We are grateful for Coach Novell's commitment to our student athletes, blah, blah, blah. He's a high character person. Program need of a leader. I'm excited to see the future for it." So the interesting parts about this article, I think, if I could highlight them, the Vision of Excellence campaign. What exactly is that? Is that a new collective? What is that? That launched the athletic department's Vision of Excellence campaign. I would love more information on the Vision of Excellence campaign. And then that it's part of an altered contract for Novell was also very interesting to me. Those are the two tidbits that I took out of that article that I think actually means something. Mike got to be feeling some type of heat to give up 4.5. I know he's rolling the money, but he ain't some billionaire. Mike is putting his career at FSU on the line for that's crazy. Could be forced, maybe the legal loophole to give money to the players. Bunch of cap. Daryl Jackson withdrew from the. Did he now? Did he withdraw from the draft? Hold on, let's find that. Where y'all seeing this at? Is this on Instagram? Because I haven't seen it yet. I just seen it. Breaking. Gerald Jackson intends to withdraw from NFL, will return to Florida State. That's a good move for him. I think either way, I believe he was getting drafted. He probably didn't get back some evaluations that he thought were good enough. And quite frankly, he might think to himself, man, I can make the bag here. Because he has NFL size. Like, the dude is legit 6'6", 330, 320, whatever he is, long arms. Like, he has those elite traits. Maybe playing with Knighton, he can, up his draft stock. He fits what we want to bring in. Lee Hunter, Jackson already kind of fits that. I would argue Lee Hunter is a better player, but maybe if you miss out on a Hunter, which I think if you're FSU, you still need to go all in for personally, even if Daryl Jackson is coming back. My personal opinion is you still need to go out for Lee Hunter. But that's pretty solid news. He says he's coming back to Florida State according to this, and that he's withdrawing from the draft. So I think you may see more of this because we just talked about it. Now, he was in the draft. He wasn't in the portal. But we just talked about it, about how there's a lot of guys in the portal that there doesn't seem to be any buzz around them. He actually put out did he actually put out? Okay, hold on. He actually put out a video. So we're going to play this video released by this actually is released by FSU's official Twitter page. So let me bring this up. This way we can all watch it together as a Florida State family. All right, let's see what he's talking about.
Throughout life, you will experience highs and lows. It's been an honor to represent Florida State. Last year was not close to the standard, and I want to lead this program in the place we all expected to be. With that being said,
pressure up the middle forces him out of the pocket. He's going to be dropped. Daryl Jackson.
Yeah, that's 6'5", 330, Daryl Jackson.
And Ward is going to get sacked again by Daryl Jackson Jr. And there, the first statement play of the night for the Florida State defensive front.
I'm back.
Okay, he just said he's back.
Throughout life.
This is going to be a bold take. This is going to be a bold take. And I don't say this. I'm interested to see how he I'm interested to see how he plays. I'm interested to see how he leads and conducts himself when he's not around Joshua Farmer. That's not a knock on Farmer, but I'm just interested to see how that works. I'm interested to see sometimes being away from certain people, regardless of how good of friends y'all are, sometimes that can help elevate him and make him grow within himself. I'm interested to see him with Joshua Farmer being gone. So I personally, I'm going to hold reserved out on this, but I like it that he's coming back. Look, I've been telling y'all, like, we can't afford to be giving away defensive linemen, man. So bringing back 6'6", 320 pounds like that, yeah, absolutely. Sign me up. 100%, absolutely. So the Vision of Excellence campaign is intended to raise excuse my bad, guys. I got a message. Vision of Excellence campaign is intended to raise money as schools gear up to share revenue directly. Okay. Thomas is similar to Eric King. Look at his highlights. I remember when you declared for the draft, you were done. As long as, well, Tyler, as long as you never hired an agent, you could always declare and come back. I think that still kind of holds true. I don't know how NIL has affected the draft declaration, because I think all of these kids already have agents. So you might be on point because there's already agents. Because it was never an NFL thing, right? It was always an NCAA thing. Once you got an agent, you couldn't come back. But now everybody has agents. So, yeah, you could probably declare, get a grade, see if you like it, and say, you know what? Nope. Cam Ward did it. And obviously you see Darryl Jackson's going to, and other guys are going to do it. So, no, I think you're right on that. What up, Mr. Wolf? Darryl had a year of not playing and being coached by Odell, then just spent a year on field. He wasn't horrible. And that's true. He was not horrible last season, to be honest with you. If you actually go watch him, he didn't play terrible. Maybe he didn't have the impact that some of us expected, but he didn't play terrible. I want Hunter and Jackson. Jackson who? I know Hunter. Jackson who? Says, I get where you're coming from. That take. I think you're talking about the Joshua Farmer. Yeah, I'm interested to see. He's got to lock in. Farmer needs to come back too. Farmer is the exception, personally, D-Watt. I would take him back. But then again, now we're talking about the dynamic that I just talked about. I probably don't want Darryl and Farmer together again. Because I think I kind of saw how that worked out the last off. I like the fact that they're going their separate ways. Farmer also has individual tape that will get him, I won't say first round, and I think Farmer will test particularly. I think he'll test fairly well. But Farmer has, I don't know if dominating is the word, but he has really, really good individual tape. I don't think he elevated anybody on the D-line, but just him doing him, it's actually pretty good stuff. Just see them get. To be fair, man, DJ Lagway's not a small quarterback, man. He's like 240 pounds, and he's got a very big bottom half. DJ Lagway's not a small young man. I hear you, though. And I agree. Yeah, of course they would say that. Ask them how their defense played this year. They wouldn't. Ask them how that defensive tackle room played this year, Lewis. if they wouldn't have wanted Daryl back. So, yeah, of course, Miami fans would say that. Line Jackson up with KJ. KJ is going to have an interesting role, I think, in that three-man front. I don't think he's a typical nose. Probably play some in. KJ might be a guy that's moved around a bit. I think you're going to see, and I'll probably do a video on this later. I think as of right now, so we know Daryl Jackson's coming back. I think that's your starting nose. Okay? I think at one of the ends, I think it's going to be Daniel Lyons. I think that guy will play at one of the ends in the three-man front. The other one is kind of up for grabs to me. I'm not quite sure where they go there. Maybe the JUCO guy. It depends on kind of what they're looking for in that role. Maybe a D.D. Holmes. I wouldn't probably pencil him as a starter. That other end spot is going to be very interesting. I want to see how it looks, and I'm not quite sure. Maybe I should go watch Nebraska and kind of see how they lined up and see what kind of player they put at that spot. KJ could be in that mix, though. Farmer has declared, yes. What if Gus tanks the offense to get the interim job? I don't think that does Gus any favors. If Gus tanks the offense, FSU's not gonna fire Mike Norvell for Gus Malzahn. So I don't buy into that one bit personally. And that's a pretty good point too. You can't tank an offense that was already at the bottom of the damn mountain, in the valley of the shadow of death. It wasn't even on the mountain; it was in the valley of the shadow of death. So 100% right by Casey. Like, you can't tank that, number one. And Gus is being called a play caller as an offensive coordinator. Does he really want to tarnish his reputation? Like, yeah, I don't buy that. Yeah. Great point, Tyler. Like, you're the offensive coordinator. You're going to tank your offense to get a better job? Doesn't make sense. If Gus really wants another major head coaching job, which I'm not even sure he does, you would try to get that offense humming. Is Pat going pro? Pat has not declared. Pat has been very quiet. I don't know what Patrick Payton is doing. Tony White said he would adjust the game plan to the personnel he has, so it might not be 3-5. It might be 3. It's definitely going to be. I think our base alignment will be the 3-3-5. He's going to go with what he's going to go with what got him to the dance. Speaking of Tony White, it doesn't mean he won't have 4-man front packages or 5-man front packages or 3-4, like. A 3-man front with 4 line. Like, it doesn't mean that he won't be multiple. I believe his base alignment will be the 3-3-5. Again, what got him to the dance? Coaches always say, "Oh, we can do this." They usually stick with what got him to the dance. I think we get James. Why not give the job to Atkins then? Yeah. Why not give the intern job to Atkins? Yeah, really. Pat and Shy might stay. I want Shaheem up out of here. But I think Pat probably will stay. Shaheem, that's another one that's been fairly quiet. So you're probably right on Shaheem. Shaheem probably doesn't go anywhere. Yes, Daryl Jackson's coming back. Mike and Gus has too much of a relationship to do that. No, did he? I agree, Brandon. Shaheem needs to be off this football team. Kentron Portier is declared for the NFL draft. I did see that. I didn't personally think it was worth mentioning. I'm not trying to be mean or funny. Good luck to Tron. the Canadian Football League will be a very probably cool experience for him. I haven't heard much on O-line transfers other than some UFC guys guessing the portal isn't littered with it. Well, they have an Arkansas transfer on campus today. One of the UCF guys, I believe, was on campus. They have some targets on the O-line. So we'll see how it plays out. It looks like they're prioritizing the center position in the portal. Go figure. We got to get someone who can snap the damn football. That'd be great. Yes, there is. I'm trying to tell you. Bragnon. Okay, let me check that out, Tony. Let me see what you're talking about. Scrolling. So, by the way, somebody just asked. I probably should have just checked. Shout out to Tony, because he'd be putting a lot of stuff in Discord that, frankly, I don't follow. I don't care to follow everything. So they got the Vandy offensive tackle transfer Gunnar Hansen at FSU today. There's actually a picture of him walking in. Looks like he's with Meach. Is Meach a GA? Makes sense that he would be. Arkansas O-line transfer Addison Nichols. Those are the two guys. So this is from Chris Nee, the 247. He reports Brandon Bogner is going to be working with quarterbacks. He comes to FSU from Samford. He was coaching quarterbacks there and worked as a recruiting coordinator. He returned to Samford before last season after spending the past 2 seasons at UCF as an offensive analysis and assistant quarterback coach. My guess, he'll be assisting Tony Tokarz. Bogner spent 2012 campaign as a graduate assistant coach at Troy. Working with Trojans quarterbacks, he also spent several months as inside receiver and tight ends coach at Samford. So he's done all of his work basically at Samford. Bogner played quarterback at Murray State, coming to the Racers as a walk-on. Okay, so we have another addition to the staff. There you go. Again, it looks like offensively, we're just taking UCF staff, which honestly, I'm not even too mad at because they were a top 20 offense. So I just watched, again, an offense that played football in the Valley of the Shadow of Death. And I'm okay with, hey, bring in UCF's offensive staff because it can't be no worse than last year again, like we said. So there's that. Why does Mike Norvell continue with these recruiting blunders? Maybe you meant blunders, but we are losing players BC because we want the last visit. Okay, so I talked a little bit about that. Again, I don't think FSU has missed on anybody of super importance, but I agree. Let's get ahead of the curve here, and the last visit isn't the most important visit. Was there the market for Omar? I don't believe there was, which is why I think he came back. Any news on DJU? I don't know. He ain't going to be playing quarterback here, though. I'll tell you that. Wake Forest coach did step down. Kendrick Law, yeah, I saw that. I'm not against FSU kind of peeping Kendrick Law and seeing what the interest there. I think he's scheduled a visit for, is it next week? I don't know. I don't know when the visit is scheduled. But I did see the news on Kendrick Law, and that's the guy that FSU did recruit, Louisiana kid out of high school. Coach Yak is still here, so we'll see how that plays out. Yeah, DJU definitely going to be driving. DJU is going to be in the WWE as the newest member of the Bloodline. Tony Tokarz is a linebacker coach now? What? That's definitely Coach Pop, that JP that you're talking about. Drop a Discord link. I thought I've done. I will absolutely. If you guys want to join the Discord, we'll absolutely. We have a nice little group there too, where we just talk and vent. So, 100%, we'll drop the link to the Discord. Let me do that for you. Actually, I have to remember how to do that. You know what? I don't know what I just did. Okay, there we go. I'm back out of that. Create invite. There it is. Okay, so I'll drop the link right now, and we can continue to talk. There's a link to the 863 Discord. What's your thoughts on FSU offering quite a few portal receivers? Seems like we already have about 15 on the team. I think they're trying to get something to stick. I don't think they have major. Again, I talked about this thing with TC, and I don't think guys want to be here. But I think they're trying to get something. I think when you lose Dustin Hill, you are losing somebody's. You probably do want, because you look at the receiving core right now, there's not a veteran presence there, right? You're losing Tron, you're losing Williamson, you're going to lose Malik Benson. So now you're going to be relying on Ja'Kai Douglas. That's another one, right? He's gone. So who's the leader in that room? So they probably just want to bring a veteran presence in the room. I still think you got to lean heavy on those young, talented receivers. I do think FSU has young, talented guys, and I think you got to kind of lean on those. But you probably want to add something or someone that's been through the college football grind. Maybe Hakeem, who will be a junior, by the way. I know it doesn't seem like it, but Hakeem will be a junior next year. Can he take that role? I'm not convinced that you have to add a guy unless a guy is a difference maker. Have you heard anything about Devin? Are you talking about Devin? Are you talking about the linebacker? I can't think of who else you'd be talking about. I really hope he did not give Jackson a significant amount of LAM money to stay, like his body language. We need to go out and get D linemen who can compete against him. Jackson takes plays off too much. DJU almost cost Mike a nice paying job. Devin is FSU official. Or are we talking about the coach? Am I tripping? I think I already talked about I already talked about that one. My bad. Yeah, we already got Devin. He's already back home. Best recruited players to win college. He's not worried about what can you do in the pros. Who knows if it's right or wrong? The pros pick players on who they think can help the team. I'm not sure what that means, Eric. But yeah. Dustin Hill, wow, Mike was way too loyal to that kid. Backstory would be nice. We may never get that, or we may one day get that. Who knows? There have been rumors surrounding but who knows? Thoughts on the QB transfer? I'm not doing Adam. You're gonna have to go watch. I get about 30, 45, about 30 minutes ago. Go check it out. Maybe 30, 45 minutes ago. I addressed that. And I don't want to rehash it. What else is going on? Maybe there's some more breaking news that will end up hitting the transfer portal market. Who knows? Okay, so Alabama transfer. So somebody spoke about this. When Alabama transfer, Kendrick Law will visit Florida State tomorrow. Now, Kendrick Law, I believe, is a running back. let's kind of just look at. I guess we can continue. I guess we can talk about some potential portal guys. Well, he's was a wide receiver at Bama. So he's 5'11", 209 pounds. He's built like a running back at 5'11", 209. Was a receiver, again, at Alabama from the looks of it. Career stats. In 2022, you got 8 catches for 103 yards, 12 yards a catch. 2023, 15 catches for 135, 9 yards a catch. And this past year, 10 catches for 105 and 1 touchdown. So he has scored at least 1 touchdown in his career. So that's 3 years. So you're getting a junior. No, you're getting a senior. He'll be going into his senior year. Unless he redshirted. Let me see. What do they have him listed as? They have him listed as a junior. So he's a true junior, it looks like. A guy that does have a red shirt. So whatever that means. He's a receiver. He's a 5'11", 209. I don't know if they bring him in as a receiver. So he doesn't fit the model of what FSU is currently targeting as receiver at that 5'11". So maybe they're looking to add maybe more speed in the running back room, or that's interesting. Kendrick Law is interesting because I'm not so sure where he fits. I don't know if he fits at receiver, but maybe you look at him. But he's not a guy that's had a lot of production, that's for sure. Maybe you look at him as a slot guy. And again, I'm okay with bringing in different skill sets. So you keep targeting the big body receivers. I'm all for that. Maybe you want to get some more smaller, shifty guys also to complement the big guys. So I get it. I'm not necessarily against it. I'm not necessarily against it. And like I said, I don't think FSU has this major appeal right now. So you kind of have to fill roster spots, get what you can, hope for some guys to pop, like play above their weight class potentially, or finally have that breakout. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. We'll see how that one plays out. Still not sold on Gus. Win total next year. I mean, I'll wait till the roster's complete. I know what he needs to win, but I'll wait and see what the roster looks like. I think we should have gone for a pro-style coordinator. So, I mean, I said this, and look, man, Jonathan, it's not about where they played football at. It's about the fit and of eval. That's what it's about to me. First of all, I think Benson, in my opinion, was not trash. I stand on that. I'll continue to stand on that. The man ran wind sprints for entire games. He didn't have anybody that can give him the ball. And anytime he did beat guys over the top, they always overthrew him. I don't care who the quarterback was, he was constantly overthrown. So personally, Benson gets an incomplete grade. Was he amazing? Well, it's hard to even judge if he was halfway decent because we couldn't get him the ball. We couldn't block long enough, and when guys were blocked up, they couldn't get him. So Benson, I just don't agree with. Now the other two, fair points, but it doesn't have anything to do with them being Bama transfers. The evals were off. Did they fit? You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't matter where they're playing football. It matters, do they fit what you're trying to do? Did we properly evaluate these prospects? That's in my opinion, that's what really matters. Richard, how are you? I'm glad you finally caught a live show. We've only been on here for an hour and 30, so in a lot of ways, we're kind of just getting started. But I don't know how long I'm gonna be on here. But as long as the conversation's pumping, we're good to go. Let's see what else is on the Twitter, in the Twitter sphere. Everybody seems pretty excited from what I see about Jackson coming back. So that's a plus. Hire. They have already they pretty much have already confirmed that hire. Again, cool hire. I don't know what it means. So that's a cool. Like, it's cool. I just don't know. I'm really trying to gauge like on field stuff. Like, not saying that obviously recruiting matters, but it's hard for me to even gauge what he did at Colorado from the standpoint of, well, they didn't necessarily recruit major numbers at Colorado. The plus of Colorado's recruitment was they did hit on the evaluations of the guys they recruited. They got, it seems like the guys that they did decide to target in high school recruiting absolutely seemed to hit. They were the right guys and the right fit. If he can bring that to Tallahassee, right? I don't need you to sign 30 players every cycle. I don't need you to sign 25 players every cycle. Hell, we can sign 15 or below. But if you're telling me that, hell, 5 of the 15 actually can contribute immediately or sooner rather than later, I'll take that all day. Okay, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, share the video. Some other guys here. There are some other guys on this visit list that we can kind of talk about here. Hold on, let me find it. So today, James Williams, Gunnar Henson, Addison Nichols, and Caden Kittler. So that's 3 O linemen and 1 D lineman. Oh, and Terrence Carter. They've also targeted a lot of tight ends. It's very interesting. It's very interesting from a Florida State standpoint. Tomorrow, it looks like Kendrick Law and wide receiver Omega Blake from Charlotte might be a guy to keep an eye on. Omega Blake. I think out of those 3 O linemen, man, get me at least 2 of them, right? Any 2, I guess, works. I think you probably got a good chance at the UCF kid, obviously. O-line coaches here. Offense, I mean, Gus was essentially the offensive coordinator. He's here. Caden Kittler. What position does Caden Kittler play? Let's check that out. I'm interested to see that. Caden Kittler, 6'3", 295. So that's probably center. That's probably your center. Kidder earned a 77.7 grade in pass blocking, which is really, really good. But that was his first career start at center against the Wildcats. I think FSU probably has a good chance. Probably your center of the future right there. And then I know Gunnar Hansen, I'm almost positive, is an offensive tackle. But let's look him up. From Vanderbilt, Gunnar Hansen. Yeah, he's a offensive tackle, Gunnar Hansen. 6'5", 330. So that's a big boy from Boca. Get him home, Mike. Get him home. And then Addison Nichols. I want to see what we're looking like there with Addison Nichols. No results. There he is. $6'5", 330. Let's see. Hold on, we gotta see. So he actually hit the portal. Was at Tennessee. And then now he's 6'5", 330. Red shirt sophomore. He was a red shirt freshman last year. He was a freshman. At Tennessee. Then he transfers to Arkansas. Now last year's red shirt. So you'll be getting a red shirt junior. 6'5", 330, man. I'm interested to see how that one looks. What I meant from the Gus and Herb is the development of that offensive line that we already have the young guys mostly. With 2-10, not to be shocked the fan base at this time. Trey Boyd's a linebacker also there. Yes, he is. Talked about that earlier, Peter. We'll see. We'll see if FSU is able to get him. The linebacker room, in my opinion, might be the most interesting room on the defensive side of the ball from the standpoint of you think you got a good one with Blake. You got Omar coming back. How does that work out? Sean Murphy's still on this team. You've added Thompson from Nebraska, a guy who has played well throughout his career, but has also had plenty of injuries throughout his career. And maybe has declined, but again, as a rotation guy. So I'm very interested to see how the linebackers look, and if they bring in Bowles, I'm interested to see what that means because we've already lost what? DeMarco Ward, go figure. I think we lost another. Who all we lost? I think I got it written. Tamir hit Collins. I think has he hit? I don't know. I haven't written down, but we definitely lost DeMarco Ward. No, Collins has not hit. Neither has Jaden Parrish. We thought we were losing Omar Graham, but he decided to bring it back. So, and then you still got Cryer. So you really haven't lost the amount of linebackers that I think myself personally, like I thought we were going to lose a good chunk of those linebackers. DeMarco Ward's gone, but you haven't lost really any of the other ones. The question is, what does that tell you? Is that they're just simply still evaluating some of these players and can these players play for Troy, who is the linebacker coach, or for whatever reason they just haven't decided to hit the transfer portal yet, which is also a legit possibility that guys just haven't found maybe this isn't the right time. Maybe some of those guys who don't have tape don't have really anything to show, you don't want to be competing with the major linebacker targets that are out there. What you do want to do is maybe in the second portal window, when there's not those same amount of targets, maybe that's when you enter your name. When teams are kind of desperate, maybe due to injuries or whatever, maybe you can find a home then. That might be the strategy for some of these linebackers. I'm not sure I see all of these linebackers coming back. USC and Texas will be very difficult to beat out. If you're talking about for Hunter or for one of these O linemen. We'd like to see us recruit more in South Georgia. Absolutely would like to see us recruit more in South Georgia. That's probably where Florida State could and should live at. But Kirby's got kind of a dynasty there. Not quite a dynasty, but he's working to do that. You can't go 2-10 and go, well, we should recruit South Georgia more. That's the issue. That is the issue. You can't go 2-10 and then say, well, we should recruit these certain hot spots in the country more. Well, damn it. Don't go 2-10. Don't go 2-10. And that's it, man. I don't think that you're getting a bunch of transfer portal guys. You will fill holes. I'm not saying FSU won't sign guys out of portal. I think we were led to believe that there would be this massive roster overhaul. And I 100% believe that they have let players walk and will continue to let players walk. But the problem is bringing guys in. And who are you going to bring in? The top guys probably aren't looking for a 2-10 team to play for. They probably want to go to a team that gets you somewhere else. That's just the way the ball bounces. That's just what that is. So Mike Norvell's got to win. I think he's going to have to win with the guys that he's recruited. So you're going to need to see, I think that's why you bring back a Jack. You kind of convince Darryl Jackson to come back. I don't think Pat's going anywhere. It's time, Blake Nicholson, these guys that they recruited, they're going to be, especially on offense, your running backs are going to be all homegrown guys, I think. And maybe it should be. Your wide receivers, maybe with the exception of a guy or two, will be all guys you've recruited. Your quarterback is one thing. Florida State's not the only team that's doing this. I actually don't like this. Out of all the things on the transfer portal that I don't like, a lot of teams are doing one-year rentals at quarterback every single year. And I think that is a mistake. I think that is a mistake. So, at least for what you would call long-term success. You look at Notre Dame; they take a transfer portal quarterback seemingly every year. This year, it got them in the playoffs, but they lost to Northwestern. So, in a previous year, Notre Dame doesn't hit the playoff, right? So, we'll see, though. We'll see what happens. We'll see as more names pop up. John Maytier. So this was kind of a guy that everybody was talking about from Washington State. A lot of people think he's the number one player in the portal. He looks like he will transfer to Oklahoma. Interesting choice there from John Maytier. I had some Miami fans tell me that due to the relationship with Cam Ward, that Miami was on the inside track and this was their next quarterback. Well, that doesn't look like the case if this prediction stands firm. Doesn't look like the case there. Do we have a legit offensive tackle on the? I know the staff is hoping Simmons to work. The real staff didn't leave us with any tackles. Yeah, you have at least 2. Let's look at this. Let's look at the roster. But off the top of my head, you have Manasseh and you have Lucas Simmons. That's just off the top of my head, as far as legit offensive tackle like players. So we're gonna look. So looking at the roster right now. Let's go ahead and scroll because obviously O linemen are way down the numbers. Okay, let's go back up. So yeah, Lucas Simmons, again, that's 6'8", 308. Like, again, long arms. That's a legit offensive tackle. We'll see. They got to get him to be a good football player, and we'll see how his development has played out. But as far as legit offensive tackles, he's one. So you have Jaden Todd. I don't think that he was recruited to be an offensive tackle. He's 6'6", 324, however. Take that for what it's worth. Again, I don't think he was brought in to do that. I'm just going off of the measurables. I'm pretty sure he's a inside guy. Jalen Early, who's played some offensive tackle, but is probably better suited inside. Robert Scott's obviously gone. I'm actually kind of surprised that Early is still sticking around. Rizzy, we know, is an inside guy. Otto, we know, is an inside guy. I think Richie Leonard probably comes back, another inside guy. Ferguson, an inside guy. Manasseh, 6'5", 300. I believe he's a tackle. Armello's gone. Jonathan Daniels, one of the most interesting prospects, but he would, in my opinion, they list him at 6'4". I don't think Jonathan Daniels is 6'4". He might be 6'1", 6'2". He might be 6'1", 6'2", but he has the long arms, but I think he's an interior guy as well. But yeah, I think they only got 2 guys as far as offensive tackles. At least that's what it seems. Then you are bringing in a guy like Mario Nash, but I don't think he's a day one player for you. They recruited some guys, but again, not necessarily day one guys. Ferguson is not gone. I would love to see another quarterback from the portal, Richard. We did discuss it, James. Again, I think it's good for him. I think it's good for Florida State. And I'm interested to see how it plays out. So that was our midday chop up, man. We just wanted to get in here and talk about what's going on. Again, quick recap. You can go start from the jump and watch it. Mike Norvell's new, I don't know what we're calling it, donation, contract reconstruction, whatever we're talking about, $4.5 million going back to the Seminole Boosters. Again, let's throw that money at Lee Hunter and some of these other guys, Deuce Robinson, which we also talked about. Deuce, Lee Hunter, some of the transfer portal targets, Kendrick Law. We talked about some of the guys that we've acquired. Thompson, the linebacker out of Nebraska. We did a pretty long conversation on why I don't want TC here and how there's a bunch of people that do want him here. To each their own. That's really all I got for y'all today, man. That's really all I got. And again, I'm off. So hell, who knows? You might get something from me every day. Probably not, because I don't like talking about the same things over and over. And unless something crazy happens, So Ashton Daniels, I'm only bringing this up not because I think Ashton Daniels is some player that Florida State should have targeted. He played quarterback at Stanford and didn't have great numbers. Only 1,700 yards passing, 10 TDs, 12 INTs. I'm bringing this up because Auburn has acquired 2 quarterbacks out of the transfer portal. I would feel so much better, and I don't know who that quarterback is, so don't ask me. Like Nick Saban says, quit asking. I don't know the name of the quarterback, but I would be so happy if FSU decided to bring in another quarterback, somebody, anybody, to get, even if it's just a lie, make me think that we are giving a legit quarterback battle. Yeah, because Auburn can bring in 2 quarterbacks. I don't see why we can't. TC going ball. Hey, Island boy, you got it. I hope he does. I'm not saying I'm not wishing on him to fail. To be very clear, but So, as always, man, it's your boy POLK over on 863 Seminole TV. Stay classy, Seminoles. And we are out here. I want us to go after Ja'Carri Brown. And with that being said, we are out here. Go Noles. Y'all have a great rest of y'all's day. And, yeah, we're not even going down that road. I'll holler at y'all later.